Sports Wars, Geeks and Gamers community, all of YouTube, what up? I am back. For those of you who are not familiar with who I am, my name is Pat, aka Cool Connoisseur, aka the Mayor of Oakland. Yeah, you see it. And I am back to bring you some of my up-to-date thoughts, feelings, ramblings, rants. I'm kind of going off the top of a dome in this video. If I ramble and rant a little bit, bear with me. This is completely unscripted, unedited, and we're just gonna one-take Jake this because I'm a gangster and that's how I roll. So, first things first. Number 23 himself, the newest member of the Los Angeles Lakers, or well, the most prominent new member of the Los Angeles Lakers, LeBron James, completely owns that silly head-ass, talking head Fox News fake Laura Ingraham. Completely just destroys her in the most subtle, smooth, player way possible. Now, if you're not familiar with what took place, LeBron James is a Democrat, all right? You can like it, you cannot like it, whatever. He's a Democrat, straight up. Of course, he's critical of the current occupant of the White House. He's vocal about it, as he's vocal about a lot of social and political issues. And Laura Ingraham, you know, a talking figurehead on Fox News, who has made her living selling affirmation to people, who has made her living convincing people that she cares about their ideology and their political beliefs, when really she's just wanting to tell you what you want to hear for ratings, decides she wants to open her mouth and critique the man. Tell him and my boy KD to shut up and dribble. Okay, so LeBron James, the person with a uniquely American story, the self-made multimillionaire, the individual who came from absolutely nothing, who had a mother who had substance abuse, and don't look at us funny, don't look at me funny for mentioning that. Some of y'all got fucked up family members too. Didn't know his father, grew up moving from one apartment to another, staying with a friend, staying with a coach, staying with a family member. By all normal situations and circumstances, LeBron would have been a statistic. Yet he's a man who married his high school sweetheart, who has never had any major affairs or controversies, who is an excellent father to his 3 kids, who is an outstanding ambassador and role model of how to be a positive individual, who opens up a public school for free for inner city at-risk kids, is told by this bitch to shut up and dribble. So what he does in response, not even 2 weeks after opening that school, mind you, he decides that he is going to host and produce a Showtime documentary about the changing role of athletes in America, the changing role of athletes being more socially conscious and aware of issues that affect communities that they come from. And guess what he's gonna call it? Shut up and dribble. I'm sorry if you're a fan of Fox News. I'm sorry if you're triggered by what I'm saying. Well, really, I'm not sorry. But listen, myself as a moderate, if you're a Republican, that's perfectly cool with me. I don't have an issue with that. I have had Republican friends literally my entire life. And I'm not just saying that to say it. I'm saying it because it's true. But this lady speaking out of the side of her mouth, trying to talk greasy about LeBron in lieu of all that he's accomplished, to me is absolute bullshit. And he owned her. And I was glad to see it. So, moving right along, kind of keeping within the social, political stuff that we're not supposed to talk about. Well, this is a channel where we're going to talk about it, damn it. Let me make something clear for all of the critics out there, or for people who just don't seem to have an understanding of what the dynamic is around here. I am not afraid of Jeremy. No one on my team is afraid of Jeremy. And at no point have we been afraid of Jeremy, because that's not the type of company Geeks and Gamers is. Jeremy is not some all-powerful, all-knowing dictator who domineers and speaks for everyone, okay? Jeremy's opinion is his opinion. He's completely in his right to have it. Him having his opinion is just as valid as anyone else. But what he says on this channel, or any other channel for that matter, he doesn't speak for me. He doesn't speak for my admin Roy. He doesn't speak for my admin John. He doesn't speak for my admin Aaron. He doesn't speak for my admin Cordarius. He doesn't speak for my moderators Zach or Aaron or Brandon. He doesn't speak for anyone but himself. Because we're all grown men here. We all have our own individual thoughts and feelings. And this is not a situation where one individual is going to dominate the discourse. If you're coming here as a big fan of Jeremy from what he's doing with the whole, Star Wars and SJW this, SJW that, rambling on about this Kathleen Kennedy person all the damn time, that's cool. If you're a right-leaning individual, that's fine, no problem. But if you come here thinking that this is going to be right-wing, conservative, libtard, SJW bashing, Trump-loving sports, no. That's not what it's going to be. There's going to be multiple voices, multiple points of view, and I just want to make it clear and explain this to all of you guys that, you're going to get multiple viewpoints here. So don't see one or think that just because one video gets this many views or this many clicks or this many likes or whatever other algorithm bullshit that speaks for everyone. It doesn't, okay? Different opinions, different voices, yet we can all be boys and all be cool and exchange these ideas instead of bitching at each other and thinking that if we disagree on something that we can't be cool. We don't do that shit around here. And last but not least, that good old NFL is on its way. No, I'm not about to go on and on and on about the anthem. I'm not bothered by the anthem. I'm not fazed by the protest one way or the other. And like I just explained to you guys, Jeremy has his take on it. Some other people have their takes on it. Their takes represent their opinions, not anyone else's. But all that aside, the changing dynamic of what it's like to be an elite defensive player in the NFL. Richard Sherman is now in San Francisco, not too far from where I stay. At 30 years old, coming off of an Achilles injury. There's a lot of questions swirling around him. You have Eric Berry coming back from injury. One of my division opponents, a guy I have a ton of respect for. Locked up Gronk in week 1 of last year just to get hurt and miss the rest of the season. It sucked. And then you have this interesting situation regarding my own Khalil Mack, the Rams, Aaron Donald, and the Seahawks, Earl Thomas. 3 guys who are absolutely transcendent talents. I mean, Aaron Donald and Khalil are damn near once-in-a-generation talents, and Earl Thomas basically redefined the free safety position. Like, he reminded everyone of Ed Reed, and then he turned around and did things that we almost didn't even see from an Ed Reed. And yet you have a situation where all 3 of these guys are holding out for new agreements and new contracts. And you've had this consistent dynamic of defensive players, like we were talking about the Seahawks a second ago. Cam Chancellor held out a couple years back. The league in general, the rules, the nature of the game, we all know that it favors offense. But the favoring and almost the bias towards offense has gotten so much stronger in recent years because of the advent of fantasy football, the advent of all these various online gambling avenues, even before gambling was legalized. And now that it basically, for all intents and purposes, is legalized everywhere, it's just going to increase tenfold, if not more. All these various factors that affect the ratings of the NFL has driven those in a position of power to put NFL rules in the position to where there's more scoring and more offense and more excitement, because that draws in more ratings. And therefore, all these other various connected avenues end up churning out more money, which in some way, shape, or form is going to end up in the bottom line for the NFL. And as a result, you have these elite transcendent talents on defense who are basically getting the short end of the stick. As far as Khalil Mack goes, I don't have any doubt that some sort of deal will get done because Reggie McKenzie is who he is. I know there's been a lot of chatter because of Colin Cowherd and various other pundits about John Gruden being out of touch. Has he been out of it? Has he been out of the mix for a while? Yes. Do I think he's completely just old man using a computer out of touch? Not quite. Let's just say I'm being cautiously optimistic about John Gruden. But, you know, the situation with Earl Thomas and the situation with Aaron Donald, I don't feel as rosy about those two. Particularly Earl Thomas because, you know, he's a Texas native. He aggressively pursued the interests of Jason Garrett and Jerry Jones. I'm not 100% sure how he feels about Jerry Jones at the moment, but he still wants to play for the Cowboys. Yet the Seahawks, you know, Stinky Pete, as some of my Sports Wars colleagues call him, they don't seem to be budging. And, you know, Sean McVay and the crew with the Rams, I have heard nothing about them even communicating with Aaron Donald recently, much less getting close to getting a deal done. And that situation is even more tense because they're handing out money to Brandon Cooks and all these other guys on the roster. Meanwhile, Donald, who is absolutely the best at his position in the league, is looking at this like, well, you guys want to pay a deep threat receiver with a quarterback who can't really push the ball more than 30 yards? But I have been an absolute future Hall of Famer at my position and I can't get the bag? What the fuck? That's probably how he feels, and I can't blame him, but it's indicative of a larger paradigm shift within the league. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. But, you know, last but not least, second last but not least that I want to throw at you guys, and leave your answers down in the comments below. Hypothetically speaking, let's say your team is in Super Bowl 53 down in Atlanta. State your team, but more importantly, state what you would choose as their introduction song. At the Super Bowl 52 earlier this year, I feel like the Eagles set a new standard coming out to Meek Mill because he's an artist from Philadelphia and he kind of embodies that fighting Philly spirit for the modern era as opposed to some generic rock song from like a bazillion years ago that no one under the age of 40 gives a shit about. So let me know, if your team is in the Super Bowl, what track would you choose for them? You're probably looking at me thinking, oh, well, he's going to pick like Too Short or something. Yeah, I would love to choose something from Short, but a lot of his songs are kind of like smooth. And as an intro song, I need something aggressive. So I would probably go all the way to New York and pick some DMX. Or maybe some Pac for Jeremy. But anyway, that's all I got for you now. Stay tuned, like, comment, subscribe, and we will be back with more. Peace.